What's up, Zach here, and today I've got the all-new Anta Shockwave 6. And thanks to Kick's Own for sending me a pair of these to check out. If you want to check out a pair for yourself, I'll have a link in the description below. That link also carries with it a $10 discount, which will show up at checkout. So thanks to them for sending me these. Let's get into the uppers. Now, when talking about the uppers, I think we first have to just get one thing on the table. These are the most breathable shoes on the market per gram, per ounce, and for how contained they are, there is no shoe that comes close. Number one, you look at these on the breathability test, only heated up 98.9 degrees. And that's all well and good. We've seen other shoes do very well on these breathability tests, namely a lot of Nike shoes. But what you also see on these, on the breathability mapping, is fog immediately is coming out of everywhere on the shoe. And yes, we've seen that with some other shoes as well. What we haven't seen is a shoe this breathable that also has the containment of something that weighs 3, 4, maybe even 5 ounces heavier than it, for my men's size 11. Now, the reason for that is you look into the forefoot and the upper material on this is just this really strong, intricate TPU weave that goes all the way through the uppers. And then the only thing that breaks that up is plastic reinforcement on an external heel counter, which runs all the way from the medial heel, all the way up around the heel counter. Now that actually complements an internal heel counter as well as this external heel counter, and then goes all the way to the lateral side, and then it butts right up against this other plastic stabilizer here on the lateral side. Now that does carry with it some issues, which we'll get to in the fit section, but in terms of containment, it's insane. You look at this orange cabling here right at the distal end of the lace line, that actually looks like jump wire from Nike when you look at it on the microscope, and it just really kind of helps reinforce around the lace line, kind of right, where you'll be pivoting and where the shoe is going to be bending. So this shoe, in terms of durability to bending increasing, along the metatarsal heads or the MPJ, right where your foot's supposed to bend, that is going to be reinforced really well, just this really nice lightweight material. Now the tongue also has a ton of breathing. It's got macro pores in the padding, and then it's got smaller pores kind of on the periphery of the tongue. The back side of the tongue, the stuff that actually touches your foot, that's a little bit more solid backed, but just having all of those pores in there is just going to allow the shoe to feel more breathable, act a little bit more light. The gusset on this is netted, and it is pretty strong, and it actually has some padding to it. But once again, you can also see my finger through it, right? So it is it is breathable while also being super strong. Now, the ankle collar does have some decent padding, but what I think is the real triumph of this shoe in terms of the ankle collar and heel counter is how wide the runner's knot is. It is such a wide grab of that ankle collar. So when you pull that runner's knot, heel slippage is 0. You are not moving out of this at all. Without the runner's knot, it's mild. I really didn't notice it whatsoever. I actually had a runner's knot in one, just a regular knot in the other, and neither of them I really noticed. I'm kind of waiting for a company to do that, make it a little bit wider, grab a little bit more of the ankle. And so that was really nice to see. The lace line is quasi-external, but all those cables, stitch right into the strobo board. Like I said, that is good for containment, might not be so good for certain foot types, which we'll talk about. But, in terms of just a strong upper, I guess you look at the upper durability test too. Speaking of 10 seconds highest grit sandpaper, the bird does make it through the waxy drag guard. It does not make it through the actual upper material. There is a lot of, rubber riding up over the uppers as well. So in terms of dragging or sliding, I actually think these are pretty darn good, unless the uppers catch on something, the actual woven part of the uppers. But like I said, in terms of blunt containment, in terms of strength of upper versus breathability, like I said, I don't think really anything comes close right now. And getting into the midsole teardown, I really like this configuration. It's 2 slabs of Anta's nitrogen-infused thermoplastic foam, which is great, but then kind of carrying it and actually kind of coming through the middle to kind of break up the 2 slabs of foam is carrier foam, and then you have a top-loaded plastic shank that just goes right into the midfoot. Now, what I notice about this is unlike some uncontained thermoplastics, when it is contained, it just feels a little bit snappier, a little bit more just lively when you're pushing off, because it's kind of got something to bounce off of on the sides. I know that sounds kind of weird, but like I said, it just feels just a little bit snappier. Look at this thing on the bounce height test, got 41 centimeters in the rear foot, 45 in the forefoot. So, you can just see that this shoe definitely has a lot of pop, but I think more than just, remember that the bounce height test is basically just a way to get the conversation started in terms of the shoe's pop and bounce and shock absorption. But to me, the elements of the carrier foam plus the nitrogen-infused thermoplastic plus top-loaded shank, it just feels incredibly snappy, almost like the torque you get from an electric car accelerating versus an internal combustion engine, just extremely responsive. And looking at the outsole tread, it looks simple enough, but to me, it's pretty interesting. It's actually a divergent herringbone, right? That they're going out like almost 45 degrees from the center of the shoe. That's where the herringbone's kind of directionally going. That was pretty neat. On the grip test ramp, these things do slip at 39 degrees, so, you know, decent. And on the viewing box, actually do get, to me, a little more rubber movement than I thought I was going to get on these. Interesting thing about these is the durometer is only 15.25. And if you look at the outsole durability test on these 10 seconds highest grit sandpaper, I did get 1 millimeter of damage on these. And, you know, the rubber just feels softer, right, versus the 5s. And it just feels more like an indoor shoe versus more of an outdoor shoe. The tread is chunky enough and thick enough that, yeah, sure, I mean, you can use them outside. Are they going to be the most durable shoes on outdoor courts? No. The breathability of them is out of this world for super hot, humid days. That'll give them, and I think they're okay on outdoor courts if you're not a crazy dragger or slider, but I could just see these wearing down more than maybe some other Anta shoes we've seen in the past that are, you know, a little bit more made for those outdoor courts. I would say, like, the Kai 1 Speed, much more, to me, of an outdoor shoe versus the Shockwave 6, although you can use these. So look at these things on the speed ratio, though, coming at a 3.08. Shank score of 0.2 brings up to a 3.28. And yeah, I think they definitely deserve to be above 3 on that speed ratio. They are, just like I said, incredibly responsive, quick shoes. The only thing I would say is, number one, stopping power on them, fantastic. Like I said, the containment on them, out of this world. They do pick up dust, though, in clumps. Like, they pick up a ton of dust. Now, the thing is, it is easy enough to wipe down because the tread's like kind of chunky, right? There's like no real intricate little patterns there it's going to get stuck in. So it is easy enough to wipe down. And as soon as I wipe it down, it's fine. But it does like to pick up dust. I never slipped out from underneath of them, but I did notice if I kept them wiped down, the traction was like hard stopping. Like, it was fantastic in terms of that real tactile grip. Once they did start picking up dust, you kind of notice it. But like I said, super easy to wipe down. It really wasn't an issue. So yeah, in terms of stopping power on outdoor courts, yeah, I mean, they're going to have great stopping power on indoor courts as well. But like I said, just watch if you create a lot of friction with your footwork, these are going to wear down more versus something like the Kai 1 Speed. But now that I've gone on and on about all the things I love about the Shockwave 6, let's get into the fit. Now, number one, these do have a 14-degree in-flare, a metatarsal width of 9.1 centimeters, toe box width of 9.5 centimeters, a toe box taper of only 26 degrees, and then a length of 28.7 centimeters. So here's the thing. Having all of this plastic right on the lateral side of your foot where the 5th metatarsal is, there's no getting around it. If you have any bulk on the outside of your foot, it is really going to start to hurt. I was having a lot of problems breaking these in. Just because I have a very wide lateral foot. I also have a little bit of a C-shaped foot. And I know, we talk a lot about barefoot shoes in the barefoot community, but man, I would love there to be like a 5th metatarsal shoe community. I'm gonna maybe make t-shirts for that. But if you are someone like that, this is gonna be a tough outing. It's gonna be tough sledding trying to break these in because this is strong plastic. You can break them in. Lacrosse balls and tennis balls really help with that. Shoe stretchers will help, but just keep that in mind. So a narrow and medium foot, I'd say you can go true to size. A medium, you can go up a half size because they are a little bit short. So, I mean, a hair short. So you can go up a half size if you're a medium. To me, I would go up a half size if I was a medium just to get to get a little more comfort because they do lock down so well. A 2E, you better be going up a half size. And I would say if you're not super short-toed, just go up a size on them. Just get a little bit more room in there. Like I said, they lock down well enough. A 4E, go up one size. I don't know if a 4E is a match for this. It might be a mismatch just because of all that plastic there. If you've got a lot of bulk on the lateral side, like I said, it just might be a mismatch. It's really going to be person dependent on that. In terms of the snake bitten foot, though, anything from ankle sprainers, heel pain, ball of foot pain, really anything that needs more support, torsional type issues, absolutely out of this world. I mean, like I said, they lock an orthotic down great. So really for any lumps, bumps, and bruises on your foot, they're fantastic. The only thing I don't like for them is perineal tendonitis because it's just going to irritate the perineal, especially at the insertion. Anything in terms of prominent styloid process, a tailor's bunion might find this plastic piece annoying. A bunion on the inside I don't think is going to be a huge deal, but a tailor's bunion as well is going to be an issue on these. So really depends on your foot shape. how you're gonna like these. The saving grace on them, like I said, is they are just a hair short. At least my pair was just a hair short. So going up those half and full sizes is not going to introduce as much floppiness in the forefoot as, say, something that ran a little bit long. But getting in the performance of the Shockwave 6, once again, talking with Anta shoes, the same buzzwords, push-off power. Just, like I said, incredible responsiveness on these things. When you want to go, they go. In terms of snap, getting up for layup after layup after layup, absolutely fantastic. Was that really, but it went in. In terms of just jump shot, just quick, easy push up off the ground. Fantastic. Stopping power, containment, like changing directions. We're kind of going off axis, right step back. Fine, perfect. I mean, honestly, one of the more well-rounded shoes this year, especially in a package that isn't a super high, bulky shoe. It performs in terms of the containment and the confidence of a much bulkier shoe, but plays like a shoe, kind of with the profile of it. And honestly, like, is that really a surprise? I mean, the Shockwave 5 was out of this world too. I mean, that was a really good shoe too. And it's nice when you can see the building from model to model in the same line, right? Taking the best parts of it. I think some people might be a little bit disappointed that the rubber is a little bit softer and it does seem to be a little bit more of an indoor shoe. Like I said, you can use them outdoors, but on grittier courts, they're going to get chopped up a little bit more than something like I said, like the Kai 1 Speed or even the Shockwave 5. So yeah, I mean, in terms of an all-around shoe for all-around performance, like I said, it's pretty hard to beat. Like I said, the worst parts of it are the comfort aspects for certain foot types, and I think if you're not one of those feet, it's going to be fantastic for you. So love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you want to see what I'm talking about with the Kai 1 Speed and some of the pros and cons of that model and how it matches up and compares to the Shockwave 6, make sure you click into this video up above and subscribe down below. Respect, rubber, and foam. I'll see you somewhere in the Sneakerverse.